Short 1. I was at my favorite hardware store today, searching for a good crowbar, never mind why. The staff at this local place don't wear any uniforms, just clean professional garb. I was dressed like a retired sailor caught in the middle of a project without a crowbar, which is to say nothing like the actual employees. I found a nice crowbar. Not too heavy, not too unwieldy, and not too long, a nice compact crowbar, which is exactly what I was looking for. I was holding it and about to head up front to buy it when I heard a lady clear her throat, ahem. I looked behind me and said, "Hi. Am I in your way?" What followed was Karen's standard confrontation. She demanded, I demurred, she screamed, I shrugged, yada, yada, yada. Then, when she'd had enough and her obviously superior nature had been sufficiently insulted, she tried to slap me. I raised my hand to block her swing. The hand that had the crowbar in it, of course. The end result was that she went to the hospital with a broken wrist and I was almost arrested for assault, only saved by the security tapes that caught the entire encounter. I plan to mount the crowbar over my fireplace as a trophy. I used to work in a steel fabrication shop which was conveniently located across the alley from a box store with the Canadian in its name and a red triangle sorta logo. It's like an automatic store with an auto service center which also sells tools, lawn furniture, kitchen stuff, appliances, tires, sporting goods and camping gear. Our workplace supplied coveralls which were blue and had the company name embroidered on them as well as name tags. The box store had red and black coveralls the techs wore. I worked with a friend who had the same sick sense of humor as I did and we had gotten Ecother's name tags changed through clever use of repair request forms to the uniform company. So my name was Buzz and he was Sputnik. Occasionally we would stay late at work and work on our own projects or do maintenance on our vehicles. One particular day we were staying late and replacing the brakes on my friend's car. We had taken a break and were near the back door of the shop in the alleyway smoking cigars and hanging in the alleyway when a woman drives up to us and demands we tell her what's wrong with her car. My buddy says we're on break right now. And she snaps back, well, you can still help me. So I replied without missing a beat, sounds like your water pump needs a solenoid. Then the Karen lady demanded us to tell her what part she needs so we can fix her car, so I tell her you need an X34578 water pump solenoid. Then my buddy pipes up, yeah, and probably have to get a rebuild kit for your oil exchanger. She then says demandingly, when can I expect you guys to start work on it? Buddy replies, just go to the parts counter and ask them for the parts and then drop it at the service center doors. Mind you, we are actually welders wearing blue coveralls and the service techs wear red and black coveralls at the box store with the store's name and logo. Since we were doing an brake job we decided to run to the box store and get some extra brake fluid, so we popped over to the store to grab it from the car fluids section. While we were in there we noticed Karen at the parts desk and she was clearly annoyed asking for the imaginary parts we told her to get. She was clearly upset and saying that a couple mechanics outside told her to get them. We were holding back laughter and went to the checkout to pay for our purchase. While we were exiting the store we got spotted by Karen who loudly exclaimed, "There they are! These are the mechanics!" to the parts guy who just replied, "Sorry, they don't work here." We were laughing pretty hard at this woman's expense and she was not having it, so she quickly followed us outside and starts berating us and demands to know where we work. We just laughed at her and walked back to the shop and in through the back door. A little while later our boss who was working late calls us into the office and he is there with the Karen. He asked us what happened and we told him exactly what happened. Her face was red and she was fuming mad, and our boss, I could tell, was trying to hold back laughter. She then pipes up, "I demand you fire these two mechanics. Buzz and Sputnik. They are no good at their jobs. Very unprofessional." The boss at this point can't hold back his laughter and neither can we, and he replies, "Do these two gentlemen look like they're wearing red and black coveralls? Why on earth would you even ask these two for help? Just look at them. Their name tags should give it away the fact they're just going to mess with you." Red face raging Karen just stormed out of the office, slamming the door so hard I thought it would break, leaving us laughing pretty damn hard. This was a few years ago now, but at the time I was working at a store that was part of this big retail park. We sold home appliances, TVs, computers and the like. Next door to my work was one of the more fancy grocery stores, and occasionally I'd go in there to grab lunch, sandwich and a drink type beat. Our uniforms are pretty similar, black polo shirt and pants, with the only difference being the embroidered store logo. Anyway, I grab my things and place them on the conveyor to be scanned when the cashier looks at me, almost with relief, and says something to the tune of, "Oh thank goodness, do you mind covering me until while I go on break?" And at the time I was just pretty flustered and blurted out, "Nope, sorry, work next door." But for at least a week after I was coming up with quirky quips and response. Was all a good laugh in the end. They apologized. I said easy mistake. All was right with the world smile. TL, doctor at the bottom. I apologize for being on mobile. It's a long story, but the lawyers just told me I could tell it late last year, so I saved it for fake internet points. This happened a year or so ago. Was in my local supermarket, in the cleaners and detergents aisle. This older fella is wandering down the aisle with his trolley of items and taking on his phone. I didn't really pay attention at first, but soon noticed he seems agitated. From his end of the convo it's clear he's been sent to pick up a particular item and he doesn't have the first clue how to find it. The person on the other end was presumably trying to describe it to him, with no success. He looks completely lost. So I quietly ask him if he needs help. This look of relief on his face was huge, and he says, "There's a lady here who can help," hangs up and names a brand of fabric softener. I knew the product and found it pretty quickly. He was stoked and grabbed two, saying he hoped two would mean he wouldn't end up having to find it again, at least for a while. Happy ending all round. Not a crazy story, just one with a relatively happy ending. I was shopping at a big box electronics store recently and realized I was in my uniform colors, which are near identical to their employees. Sure enough, 5 minutes in and an older guy walks up to me and immediately starts asking me questions about a home theater setup. Before I process what he said, I said, "Hey man, I know I picked the wrong outfit, but I don't actually work here." He got super embarrassed and apologized profusely, even though I said it was my fault, and said he's gonna give up since he'd been there for like 15 minutes with no help. Well, as he walked away it hit me what he was asking about, and I realized I actually could help since I had just done something similar to my home theater. So I went over and spent like 10 minutes showing him what I had done, explaining what he needed, and sent him some links on where to get the stuff and guides to use it. He left happy, and for a brief moment it made me miss working in retail.